6:02 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Santiago?
Here.
Commissioner Ennis? Commissioner Perecca-Compari? Here. Commissioner Sui?
Here.
This meeting is being conducted, I'm sorry. Let's all stand and salute the flag, please. We'll follow with a moment of silence. First. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any review changes to the agenda?
There are no changes, Mayor. Thank you.
I now open this portion of our meeting for public comment on agenda items only. So if you see something on the agenda that you would like to speak about, please step up to the podium, state your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes to tell us about your concerns.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ed Kasuba, 68 Cottage Street in Millville. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Four Seasons at Millville Homeowners Association, HOA. And we're kind of like your government. We have different responsibilities. My responsibility is builder liaison. So it's been my job to communicate between the builder and the HOA. You can see by the people who are here today that when the discussion comes up for the tax abatement for Schaefer Homes, we support it. Much like city government, the more revenue the HOA can get in from HOA fees from additional building, the better services we can provide without necessarily having to raise fees. In your case, that's taxes, and it makes it very popular when we can do that. So I'd just like you to seriously consider the proposal and realize it's an important issue for the 100+ residents at Four Seasons, and we would appreciate an affirmative vote.
Thank you, Mr. Kazuba. Anybody else? Seeing no one else, I close the public comment portion on the agenda items only. Madam Clerk, can we go into old business, please?
Certainly. The only item under old business is the monitoring of the tax exemptions and abatements. And I believe Brian Rosenberger, the assessor, is here to provide some information. This was originally discussed when we spoke about the DCA checklist a couple meetings ago.
Brian?
Thank you. I provided you a report. I do this every year as of October 1st. Each applicant is required to submit to me a certification of compliance. As you can see on this report, October 1st was the last reporting in 15. December 1st it's due for 16, so I'll have something for you at the December meeting, probably the latter one. And I also provided you a copy of what I send to them yearly. If you have any questions on those.
The gray blocks at the top, I'm assuming they happen between 15 and 16, so there's no reporting information
That's
for them?
correct, yeah, that top,
Okay.
excuse me, that top 2, 4, 6 properties are currently in their first year. So
And-
16 would be their first year of reporting.
And then if the businesses went out of business, but they're still in the 5-year abatement, they're not on this list?
Which ones are you
I
referring
like
to?
Sonic comes to mind. There were some up at the
Those have
shopping
since
plaza.
expired.
Oh, they all
so
are
they've-
done?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
And I can show you the reporting back to 2010, I believe we started doing the reporting for the 5-year tax agreement.
So they would be, I believe you, but so they would be on here even if they're no longer in business. You would also list them and just put no data available?
Correct. There would be it would be zeroed out if there were no employees.
Okay.
That's.
So everything on here has stayed open then?
I'm sorry.
So everything, there's none that are closed, just that?
No, I only took
Okay.
a snapshot of 15 because
Okay.
that was the latest date I had. If you want more, again, I can provide you with the back dates so you can see the history.
Okay.
But just a quick explanation that what they're required to give is the employees prior to the project, the employees that they project to add within 2 years to the property or to the project once it's complete. And then again, yearly, they're required to file with me. As far as the long term, I know that's the big question. There's nothing that I do yearly in my office for reporting. I don't send anything out for them to supply me. It's of course something we could do in the future. I'm completely willing to come up with a form that we could send out yearly to monitor those long-term exemptions. What they do is every year they do report to the CFO of what their profit loss is, depending on how the MDA was set up. Just for instance, you look at Target, their agreement was based on 2% of their project cost. So each year they report to our CFO what that 2% was, and it's a flat. We know what the project cost was. It's consistent since the beginning. So they report, and it's also sent through the auditing process each year. Similar with Glasstown Residents, their auditor provides our CFO a percentage of their profit. That's what their agreement is based on, and that changes yearly. And then, of course, we have the Motorsports Park, which was a flat fee based on the completion of certain elements in the project. But again, there's nothing that I do yearly unless something is constructed, we get a permit or we get a CO, then of course I would go out and inspect it.
Any other questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No further old business, Mayor.
We'll go to discussions of commissioners. Commissioner Sui.
Yeah, first with the Revenue and Finance, I've asked Sherry to come in. And we have installment plans, but we're not complying with state statute, so if you could explain that, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The question did come up, and Commissioner Sui asked me to look into what gives us the authority to offer an installment plan. I reviewed the statutes that I could find and was referred to Title 40. I couldn't find it there. So I ended up calling the State of New Jersey Department of DCA and asked for help trying to find what statute gave us the authority to do that. And in finding that, the statute really is about offering an installment for delinquent taxes or municipal charges to stay out of tax sale. So that's why I really skipped over it in my search. But the state said that actually speaks about collecting a delinquent amount by installment, so that fit. So according to the statute, we are non-compliant and haven't been since the process started, I would say, 24, 25 years ago. When the process was put together, from my understanding, I reached out to the previous collector, and in the beginning they didn't offer turn-offs, but in a way to increase revenue, the solicitor at that time put together a process to bring in that revenue and start the process. But possibly at that time, 25 years ago, he did it by resolution. I don't know that. Maybe it was never done by resolution, but it certainly was never added to an ordinance that I could find.
So is this state law? Is this
Correct.
Yes, it is.
So it's state law.
It's under the tax.
So it's something we should follow anyway,
Yeah.
whether we have a resolution or not.
Well, the
Well, if we
only way,
passed a
law says
resolution that
it.
would allow us to do that, we don't have a resolution that allows us to do that.
Well, and then didn't it also say that every case the commission has to vote whether or not we want to do the payment plan also, didn't it?
I believe that's what
Well,
it said.
I have the statute that
Yeah, I was
Sherry
looking for
found and provided to me, and it does say, "Made by resolution, either general or special." So I think a general resolution would be one that would authorize her, say, for a period of 1 year, to enter into these installment agreements, but you have to comply with the terms of the state statute, because there's certain requirements that have to be met before you're entitled to an installment plan.
Brock, if I'm reading that right,
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up.
the other thing I'm confused is that we're supposed to sell the property if that's not,
Well,
To a tax sale?
whenever there's a delinquency, I think she's under a duty to
yeah, see,
list it for tax sale.
that statute, in the body of that statute, that offers an installment plan to keep you from going to tax sale. We've never offered an installment plan to keep anybody out of tax sale. The only installment plan is for the water turn-on. So it's a
It's a
broad
may.
statute.
And it's a may, it's not shall, but the municipality may offer that plan.
Yes, so it's a broad statute, but as of now, we're non-compliant, and we won't offer any installment plans until a resolution is passed. There are a few things that, I'm
excuse me,
sorry.
I'm concerned about your mayor shell, because I'm looking at the, which paragraph is it? Probably the 1, 2, 3. When unpaid taxes or any municipal lien or part thereof on real property remains in arrears on the 11th day of the 11th month in the fiscal year when the taxes or lien became in arrears, the collector or other officer charged by law in the municipality with that duty shall enforce the lien by selling the property.
That's my tax sale statute that I use every year.
Yeah,
But
that's
you-
Well, it
original.
also says liens.
Yes,
So that would be a lien on the property, the unpaid bill, correct?
Well, because you send cut and cleans and all the special assessments to tax
Yeah.
sale also, correct? So
if
you
they
also-
remain open past December 31st of the year, the current year we're working in, or November 11th if you're doing an accelerated sale, then they are eligible for the tax sale. That's just stating that if they don't pay and they're delinquent, they will be sold at tax sale. A lien will be placed
Yeah.
against the property
So
at
are we
tax
doing
sale.
that?
Well,
For unpaid water and sewer bills or anything
They
like
go to
that? do we
tax-
put the
they
lien
go
on
to
and
tax
sell
sale
it?
every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. That I thought
They go
happened.
to tax sale every year.
But the ones that are on installment, you give them, what, the 3 months to pay, and then if they don't pay, and it's in that time frame, they would go to tax sale. Does it ever ride them out for another year? Like, would you
No.
do it in the end of the year? And
We have a statement that it does not supersede tax sale,
Okay.
meaning that it will not keep them out of tax sale. They have to pay that amount.
Okay.
It doesn't preclude them from tax sale. That would be a special resolution to keep someone out of tax sale for an installment plan. That's not what this case is. This is just, that's why it's buried in that statute. It's hard to pull it, separate it. But we do, if it's a delinquent tax, water, or sewer, they go to tax sale.
But we have 10 of these installment plans at the current
Currently.
time, isn't that right? So I think what you would need to do, you would need to consider a resolution that would approve those, because city's already offered that.
Well, when are they up, though? If they only have 3 months, they should be up shortly, right?
Right, yeah, as far as I know, the one that I sent out today, I think it's up at the end of December. There's only one left on it at that time.
So, okay. Because you would have to decide if it's something that you want to do or not, period.
Correct, and it's got 5 years. I don't see how it's helping us with revenue. I mean, it's, and the
Yeah.
other question I have is if you pay your water bill, but you don't pay your sewer bill, how does that work? You're
Well,
turning the water,
we can't close off your sewer bill, but we can turn the water service off.
is that what we do when the sewer bill's not paid? Turn off the water service as well?
Correct,
In all cases?
in all cases.
Yeah. I mean, if they have 5 years, and could everybody in the city come and say, we want a payment plan? Technically?
If they haven't, if that's another part of the statute, you can't offer it to someone who's already had that. So If there's a history, any history, and that's something that's optional. Do we look back on my notes and file, and if there was ever a mention of a payment plan before, that exempts them from being on a payment plan in the future? You can only have one per property,
One ever?
ever.
I'm just thinking logistically with that, seems like a lot of work for a payment plan on a bill that everybody's supposed to be paying.
That's a last resort, the installment plan. That is a last resort. Once you're turned off, they have to pay everything. If there's a certain circumstance when they have $50 and that's all they have, and they won't have any more, we have worked with them in the past.
And who makes that decision presently? Is
That-
it gonna work with you make it, or does somebody else make it?
Well, I think it's a combination. We look at the notes, we look at past history. When was the last time they came in and made a payment?
Who are we?
Well, I would say it's Tracy, Sheets, and myself who make the final decision if they're offered an installment plan.
Which,
We
Which
don't
is not
offer it to
compliant with state
everybody.
statute this time.
I mean, if they have the money and they come in and make the payment, then that's that.
Yeah, but I don't think you should do it, because how do you decide who you're gonna do it for and not do it for? You would have to do it for everybody to make it fair. And, because are they getting charged interest when they do this payment plan?
Yes.
And then how can you divide the payments if they come in early? How do you gotta keep track of the interest that's gotta accrue on a daily basis? Because I noticed you said divide it by 3. But if they came in and paid early, then you should take some money off because the interest wouldn't be
Right.
for the whole 3 months. So you've got a whole,
It's
You gotta
it's
carry
whatever is on the screen at that day.
But-
Interest accrues, and on the installment plan, it says plus current interest. So we take at that time, divide that payment in into 3, and we put the payment $164 plus current interest. So it could be $167 when they come in.
Sherry, we can talk about this for the next 20 minutes. I think you've done a great job. I think we need to be educated a little bit more by you and our attorney, maybe in writing, so we can see exactly what we're doing, and then, bring it up to all the commissioners and see where we go from there.
Okay,
I mean, the bottom line is we don't have to do it,
Right.
correct?
that's correct.
And
Right
you
now, we're
could
not
do it,
authorized to do it.
yeah, and you could,
None are being approved, or,
and you could do it on a case-by-case basis,
Okay.
by resolution, by this board, or a general resolution, which would delegate the authority to the tax collector.
Okay. You guys happy with that?
Yep.
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Engineer report?
Well, I'm sorry, we have Four Seasons, you didn't go in order. Public Works was supposed to be first,
Public Works?
and then Public Affairs, because we have somebody that's gonna do a presentation. I'm sure everybody doesn't wanna sit through an engineering report unless you like to stay. That's up to you.
Oh. I'm
So I
waiting
don't-
for them to
be-
stay so I can go
before you
to the
do-
party with them afterwards. We talked about that.
I mean, that's up to
So
you, but the,
Department of Public Works or them?
either one, I don't care.
All right, we'll listen to Four Seasons. Sir?
They can still stay.
They're not. They're gonna leave. They're not staying. That's
The
what
mayor would like you to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you?
Yeah, please. Thanks very much.
Jesus, no paperwork here. Thank you.
For anyone else just giving a copy to, I don't have a formal public presentation. Other than a few copies left up here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think you just have to be at one mic or the other. That's the only thing for them to hear you.
Whichever one you want. Yeah, if you,
Either one.
Yeah, either one.
Whatever you-
Okay, great. two large 11 by 17 maps in the back are for reference. I'm really just going to be walking everybody through my PowerPoint presentation quickly. A couple of you have seen that, but for the sake of the public and for this workshop meeting, thank you for having us here to make this discussion public. Just a brief background. Well, first about myself. I'm the president of Schaefer Family Homes. My granddad was a builder, and my dad built with him. In 1989, he started Tim Schaefer Communities. In 2006, I purchased that company, changed the name to Schaefer Family Homes, and I guess I've owned the company for about 10 years now, including this project. Over the course of '89 till now, we've built about 2,500 homes, so about 100 homes or so a year, and that's all throughout South Jersey, the shore, up into Monmouth County. We're not a fly-by-night company. This is what we do. We're used to doing large-scale subdivisions, anywhere from 2 lots up to 500. With me also is Leah Fury Bruder. Do you want to introduce yourself? Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Leah Fury Bruder. I am a professional planner, and by day I am the township planner for Evesham Township in Burlington County, and by night I am a planner for some of my developer clients that I developed over the years. So since I went into public practice, I still do some of my private clients, and Jason and I have been actually friends for probably 25 years, and we work together. So I'm here because I have a lot of experience with redevelopment and rehabilitation designations, redevelopment planning, as well as long-term and short-term pilot and tax abatement. So I'm here in support of Jason's idea and proposal, and I can answer any questions about the redevelopment planning process.
Thank you. So I just want to go through a quick history, the current status, a comparable project up the street that has the exact same redevelopment designation that we're seeking, the effect that would have on the city of Millville, the effect that it would have on potential residents, and then the potential benefits and why we think it should happen. So Four Seasons at Millville is a total of 614 lots, 375 in the initial section, and then another 239 that were approved in Section 2. One of your maps, the overall large-scale one that says Section 1, shows what the just Section 1 would look like. You'll see that the green lots are the ones that KHAV sold, which most of my homeowners who are here in the crowd supporting us live in. And then the other pages with the other colors are the lots that Schaefer Family Homes has been selling. It was approved around 2006. KHAV built 104 homes and sold those off. And again, my residents probably know the details of that a lot better than I do, but around 2010, KHAV Nanian pulled out of the project. The only silver lining in that is that they put about $10 million of improvements into the project before they left, including the clubhouse, pool, the tennis courts, and some of the other amenities. As it stands right now, the improvements, the amenity improvements, satisfy about 375 residents living in the community. So you have the capacity at the community to grow from 104 to 375 as it stands. Hence why the HOA fees that the folks out there are suffering are higher than anticipated, because they were calculated to be divided over 375, not 104. After they pulled out, the landowners, of which I am not the developer or the landowner, I am just a builder. I come along and I take down lots, improve them, sell them, and then if that is successful, I buy more ground off of the landowner. So in that regard, I'm pretty much here representing the landowner when it comes to a rehabilitation designation for the entire project. They searched for about 4 years looking for other developers, builders. I believe other builders came and made presentations. It didn't work out. The market was still reeling from the crash of 08, 9, 10, 11, et cetera. And then in 2014, we did a handshake deal that if I could have the next section of 88 lots, redeveloped into microphases so that I could limit my risk and exposure and just test the water here to see if there was a market, then I would move ahead. The residents, we've had several presentations with the residents, big presentation here, and everyone agreed, so we proceeded. We closed on the first 2 lots, built our model home in the summer of 14, sold our first house in this next phase of 12 lots, and none of these other lots in the 88 have been improved. They just still stand as So, that was early 2015. We bonded for those first 12 lots, that first microphase. By August of 16, 2 years later, we have sold and settled only 9 homes. The average sales price for those 9 homes is $258,777, which is a good number, but the sales pace itself is lackluster. So just to put that in perspective, if you look at the current sales pace of about, let's call it 5 a year, it would take 57 years to absorb the remaining lots in Section 1, and then additional 53 years to absorb the lots in Section 2. So unfortunately, the project, from that standpoint of pace, is unsuccessful, and it risks abandonment once again, which would be a criteria for an area of rehabilitation. So right up the street, actually the very closest 55-plus senior community is up 55, about 30 miles in Glassboro. It is D.R. Horton's The Village Grand. It's similar in a lot of ways. It was about the same number of lots as Section 1. It was approved around the same time. It has a fully decorated, furnished staff model home like we have had for the last 2 years. It has about the same size clubhouse and amenities. It has 2 distinct advantages. 1, it is 30 miles closer to Philadelphia and job centers. And 2, it has a 5-year tax abatement. When we did the market analysis, Lisa Price and Associates did a market study for us back in 2014. She said that that was going to be a significant factor in competition, and it was the #1 reason that people were buying at 55 at the D.R. Horton project compared to other projects, not just ours in Millville. So a little bit of history. In the same 24 months where we have sold and delivered 9 homes, D.R. Horton has sold and delivered over 100. The next page is just a pretty graphic showing that. So on page 7, I've never done a tax abatement, so I'll let Leah speak to how that looks. But again, we based our proposal and request upon what's being done in Glassboro, which Jim Maley, who I know is a solicitor here, was instrumental in writing that ordinance to have that done. So if you take the Millville tax rate, actually, Leah, would you mind explaining how it would work as far as, thank you.
Okay. All right, so if we take the Millville tax rate, which as of right now is 3.296% of equalized assessed value. The county tax portion is 1.161%, county health 0.057%, county open space 0.012%, and the school district is 0.8%. And then the local municipal percentage is 1.266%. So of every of every $3.30 that are being collected, the city gets $1.20. So for an average settled home, for example, where the tax would be $8,529 per year, the city is getting $3,276. So what we just wanted to present to City Council is how, or the commissioners rather, I'm sorry, how this rehabilitation designation and entering into a short-term 5-year tax abatement could be beneficial, and basically because it would basically be a financial break-even for the city over the 5 years. And it would assist the developer in getting more homes sold much more quickly, assist the HOA by getting many more homeowners paying dues much more quickly, and then at the end of the 5 years, 5-year tax abatement period, which we can talk about the details, they return to normal taxation.
I'm confused on this. If they're paying the full amount in the last year, why is it different with and without the tax abatement?
Which page are you on?
The 5 local municipal effect of the tax abatement.
Okay, so on page 10.
There's no number on mine. Is that?
On
it
the
is.
bottom
I'm sorry,
right,
there it
it's
is.
really
10.
small.
Yeah, I saw it now.
Sorry. So on the left-hand side is what that local municipal share would be for 5 years with a total of $16,380. With the 5-year tax abatement, obviously year 1 is only $405 compared to $3,276. But when you see you get down to year 5, they're paying $6,086 for a total of $16,000. They're
can
paying,
explain
they're
a
still
little bit.
paying 16,227, about the same, right?
So this is where I said over the course of the 5 year, it's basically break even for the city. But let me back up. So meaning break even, meaning over the course of 5 years, that same lot, with and without the tax abatement, would be generating roughly $16,000 to the city. But let me just back up. To the page before, on page 9.
Can I interrupt you one?
Yeah, I do understand, but it's explained on page 9. So if we can just go back to page 9, I'm sorry if we jumped ahead. So the way the 5-year abatement works is that if the property enters into tax abatement, in year one, and in every year, the full taxation on the land is paid. So currently, taxes that are being paid on the land will still be paid. In year one, there's 0% of the assessment for the structure. And then it goes 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, up to 100% after the 5th year. So basically, whereas typically you have that breakdown that goes to the county, the school district, the city, with the abatement, the full collected amount minus 5%, which goes to the county, comes to the city. So in this case, so the school district, for example, doesn't collect tax from the development during the abatement period. Now, in this case, since there aren't any children generated from the development, it's actually a pretty sensible proposal. And this, in the meantime, the homeowner, the new homeowner, their assessment is much lower during the time of the abatement. If you go to page 10, for the city, in the first year with the abatement, which is on the right side, you're getting $405, where under normal assessment it would be $3,276. But you can see as it goes up, the city ends up in year 5 getting double what it would get under normal taxation, but the homeowner is still saving money. So it's an inducement for sales.
But it would still go into the county total, so the rest of the taxpayers would make up the county on their end, because we still have to pay on the county side and the school side.
Yeah, as well as the school side, so you wouldn't be paying any taxes towards the school side, so we would have to make that up somewhere else, which would be the rest of the residents of the city.
Well, they won't be.
I realize they're
It
not
would be-
contributing any children.
Right, they're not
But
contributing
neither are
any
many
children.
people that live in the city have any children that are in school.
Right.
It would,
It would have you can look at it like it would have a zero net impact on the district, the school district, though. So it wouldn't having these new homes doesn't increase demand on their services at all.
on the school
On
side.
the school
But we don't
services.
pay taxes based on the kids in the house, they just pay a percentage of what their house is assessed at.
Correct.
So it would have to be made up.
Just meaning just think of it as if these homes didn't exist. They don't exist today. So they won't have an impact on the school district's budget.
Well, the other question I have is, are you talking about all the houses that are there as well now, or just new ones?
No,
Just new ones.
new ones.
And we should define that explicitly as none of the existing residents where the deed is already transferred to a third party besides Schaefer Family Homes that is sold. So there's only 2 lots to sell left, for instance, in the current phase. So those 2, by the time this was adopted, if the board pleased, then those 2 would not. But if they hadn't transferred yet, they would be included. And then any future lots.
And the other question I have is, what exactly does your homeowners association provide? Does it plow the streets? Does it pick up the trash? Does it do any of that?
Ed?
The trash and the streets are Millville streets. So where we do provide the normal services of cutting lawns, fertilizing, picking up leaves, providing the homeowners with a clubhouse, landscaping the common areas, the swimming pool, the tennis courts. Am I missing a service?
Snow removal?
So,
Snow removal near.
Well, snow removal of the sidewalk, not the streets, but the sidewalks and service
so
walks.
basically what any other regular homeowner in the city would have to provide for himself or hire somebody to do.
Yes.
In other words, we don't
Right.
plow sidewalks, we don't
No.
provide irrigation, we don't fertilize
No, we do the
lawns.
irrigation.
So you do what your homeowners association, you pay for a fee for, does what every other taxpayer in the city is responsible to do. Correct?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I got it right. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Right.
So the other services that the city has to pay for, including increased trash collection, increased maintenance of roads, increased maintenance of drainage systems, does it still work out to a plus for the city if we count all those costs,
Over 5 years.
then, well, that's why I need to know how do you figure that out? I mean, I don't think you've done a financial analysis from the city's point of view of how much it costs to do all that,
I
right?
don't know how.
You don't know how that, so we'd have to figure that out.
Well, are those roads already there, and did the city take over the roads in the
already
new
planned.
development? No, but you wouldn't, what happens with the new roads? You would keep them for a while, and you would have to plow them because the city didn't take
Until
them
we
over
take
yet.
them.
Correct.
At which point, so you would be plowing part of the development, not
So-
all of the development?
So that phase 2A and 2B, these 14 lots, the road's in, but it's not dedicated to the city yet, not until I go to apply to get off of my bonds. At which point, then it would become your full responsibility. That being said, you are providing trash services for those folks. I don't pick up trash.
And then what are you looking for an abatement on everything, or would you be willing to do like a trial abatement on a particular section to see if it works and if it's something that the city likes before the city jumps in and does all 300 homes?
Well, the city can, and your solicitor can advise you as well, so I don't want to jump in and step on any toes, but once you have a rehabilitation area designation, which is step one to kind of even enable this as a possibility, you can do let me back up, redevelopment or rehabilitation. In this case, since Schaefer Family Homes is not looking for a long-term abatement pilot, they're only talking about a 5-year short-term, only a rehabilitation area designation is necessary to enable this, to kick this even off. Once you have a rehabilitation area designation and a redevelopment plan in place, then you can designate Schaefer as the redeveloper and then enter into a financial agreement. That financial agreement can be structured flexibly, basically. So the whole point of it is to enable municipalities to have additional tools to encourage development that they want. So if you support this, it's saying, this is a development that we approved, that we want to be successful, and here we're going to provide some tools to help get it off the ground because clearly under the current circumstances, it doesn't work. So it's a tool, and it is flexible. So you could enter into an agreement for a certain phase to start off. See how it goes. Hope sales pick up. Because, Jason's not in it for 300 and some homes anyway if it doesn't work, right? If it's not successful for everybody.
Well, that's the other question I have about the sales. I mean, you're using the tax abatement, that the taxes are cheaper as part of the sales pitch, I guess, to get people to buy here. So when you mentioned Glassboro, I realized that they built a medical school and they expanded the college, so it only makes sense to me that housing would be more in demand in Glassboro than it would be in Millville. So what is the actual effect of doing this tax abatement on your sales? I mean, how did you project that?
Crystal ball.
I mean,
You're honest.
yeah, well, I appreciate the honesty. I just didn't know how you projected
It's,
that.
at this point, honestly, it's a Hail Mary. It's basically what other things could we possibly do? We felt like we've done an A-plus job with how we present the product, how we market it, how we sell it. This is a Hail Mary, and I just look around, it's like any other business. You look around and copy who's doing something well, and the best first thing I can copy is this. Up the street, can I tell you we'll go from 5 sales a year to 4 a month, which is where they're at? I doubt it within the first couple of years, but if there's an increase and it picks up, then it becomes a successful project.
And, as a planner, a big picture too, this all supports all of the redevelopment and revitalization efforts that the city is undertaking. So, you kind of think of a big picture, you get more people here, you get more people shopping, it's all part of the big picture and the economic success. I wanted to also add that Glassboro did their rehabilitation designation for the entire city I think it was in 2003. So that designation was separate and apart than everything that happened at Rowan. It all sort of came together, of course, at some point. But when that initial designation was made in 2003, Jim Malley, who I used to live in Collingswood, so I knew him as the mayor of Collingswood, he had this idea that if you designate the whole town, and they did it in Collingswood also, that it would encourage people to reinvest in their homes, in the homes that were dilapidated. But in this case, you may want to consider that, but in this case, we're only talking about designating this property so that it could be specific to this site.
We kind of jumped around. The only other thing is on page 11, it just shows that consumer perspective. Even though the net effect to the city is pretty much a wash, potential buyers, when looking at that $260,000 home, are looking at paying $20,000 in total taxes over those first 5 years as opposed to $42,000. So it's, a 51% reduction in their taxes, which is why, it's a significant draw you know, I go on to just do a lot of back of the napkin analysis, because again, you know, if this is successful, you move more lots from the open space roster of your taxes to improved lots. So they go, you know, I think one of the open lots is a total of $9,000 a year in taxes, which represents, you know, a couple of hundred lots. And we would take that, which is almost significantly nothing as income for the town, and move it to improved lots, which are being assessed for me around $32,000 for an improved lot, which I'll immediately start paying taxes on. So just, you know, if we were to say designate all of phase two, section one, phase two, which would be 88 lots minus the 14, whatever the number is, then those, once they're improved, they would go to the $32,000 improvement value, and they would be taxed in full. So, you know, I assume, to go back to your question, Commissioner, that, you know, for the first year, we would probably, once news got out, we'd be happy to get to one sale a month, and then maybe in the next week go to 2 a month, with the ideal goal that sometime over the course of, you know, the economy over the next 10 years, we average hopefully 3 to 4 a month, which is traditionally where you need to be to have a successful project, to support a model home, a salesperson, an on-site project manager, et cetera.
Well, I will say this, before you started talking to me, I was 100% against this, but you got me thinking about it now. We'll have to do some financial analysis.
Yeah, and again, my numbers are all, I'm happy to be challenged on them. So, you know.
I'm on the fence still. I mean, I see pros and cons, but the development's very nice. The homes are beautiful.
I know, they're great. We went out there.
You're
and
the
visited
people that we
before.
want to be, and we appreciate all your volunteering and what you do for the community. So it's a very tough decision. It is a hard decision.
Whatever, and I'm not asking that you should do this right now, but whatever you feel the cons are, if you could give us the opportunity to respond to those, whether it's now or later.
I can tell you now. First, I have to look at the cost of the services that we're providing, that we provide to every residence, such as the trash, the roads and all that, the drainage systems, to see if that makes it even feasible or not feasible, and fair to everybody else. So that's basically what I'm looking at.
Okay.
So I
Makes
don't,
sense,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we'll figure that out, some kind of average, I suppose. But,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I
Okay.
would think out there you have less demand for police services, but,
Yeah, you have to see what it does with the county and the school.
and the
if we
school
have to
tax
pick-
rate, if we have to make that up, so we'll have to check that out.
In my experience with other towns that I've worked in, there is no need for the municipality to make up any loss per se.
Right.
You know, there may be, I'll give you an example, and I don't think it really applies in this case, given what the development is, which is single-family homes for people over the age of 55. The services are, you know, minimal, they're there, but they are less than some other, you know, some other land uses might demand. But there have been instances that I've had experience with where the municipality decides to give some of that tax over to, not the county, but say the school district. You can do that, and it goes into it could go into their general revenue. But it's, you know, it's all up for figuring it out on an individual basis. In order to even enable this to kick off, the first thing that has to happen is the rehabilitation area designation. I know you've experienced this before. It's done by resolution. And normally, resolution, you know, is voted on at one meeting. But in this case, the redevelopment law requires that resolution to be referred to the planning board. So basically, you prepare the resolution in draft form, send it along to the planning board for their review and comment, and then it comes back for adoption. So it can all happen. It's a pretty straightforward resolution that outlines how it meets the criteria. You don't need a formal public hearing like you do for a redevelopment area designation. You don't have to notify property owners in the area like you do for a redevelopment area designation. So it is pretty straightforward, but there is a specific process that has to be followed. And it probably, you know, depending on how often your board meets, take a month or 6 weeks.
Yeah, we meet once a month, and the meeting's tomorrow night, so.
Okay. So, you know, and that lays a foundation, and just for your comfort level, if you wanted to get that started, that's no commitment to the financial agreement.
Right.
You can do the redevelopment area, rehabilitation area designation, and then decide we don't want to do anything with the financial agreement. So it would at least maybe get the ball rolling if you were able to get that started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions?
I have one question for the people in the crowd here. How many of you are Millville residents originally? How many of you came from outside of the county? Why? Just one? I'm sorry? Open space. Any? Ma'am? Shopping? And you're happy here? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. Okay. That crystal ball comment went wrong. I appreciate the honesty. That's why I'm used to that all. Thanks.
Have a good evening.
We still need 9.1 and 11.1. 9.1, I guess, the engineer report.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What's that? Yeah. I should go with them. They're going to eat good. So I think we're at the engineer's report. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Let's go.
No, not me.
What I do in my work session.
Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing us to give you our engineering report. Always like to start off with the hydrant readiness report. Right now, we're at 0.41%. The goal is to be at 1% for our hydrants that are out of service. Right now, we have 4 hydrants out of 980 out of service. So 976 hydrants are operable. Right now, we have all the replacement parts for the recalled American Darling had on some of the nozzles that were becoming loose during operations. We're waiting for the contractor to go through and do the replacement on those hydrants. I'll just jump into our report now. On Rhonda Road, the drainage system, we did discover that there's a hydraulic bottleneck in that section of 36-inch corrugated metal pipe between Rhonda Drive and Cedar Lane and on out to the outfall on the other side of Cedar Lane. We did some preliminary flow calculations. There's very little to no slope and some actual back slope on sections of the pipe that are causing restrictions. Also, there's construction problems from when the pipe was put in. There's deflections in the pipe, horizontal and vertical. There's also deposits of sand in the pipe, meaning that the flow has gone down probably about 3 million gallons a day when it could be close to 40 million gallons a day. Right now, we're evaluating the engineering behind it to see what the best solution is to correct that problem that we identified. It could be that we have to put a pipe up around the drive to the outfall or put a new pipe in across the easements of the properties. So right now we're evaluating those options. Uh, 15th Street Public Works Facility, Brian's probably been running this project mostly with the fencing, perimeter fencing and the gates. The perimeter fencing is installed except for the barbed wire. There's some issues with the gates on 14th Street and 15th Street coming into the facility. The widths are probably a little less than we need to have for industrial access on 14th Street. We got a price from a contractor to increase the width of the gates. We'll have to do a change order to the project. It's around just under $7,000 to increase the size. On 14th Street, we're going from a 30-foot opening to a 40-foot open gate. And on the mechanics entrance to the bays, we're going from a 16 to a 24, I believe, reversing the operation to open towards the building. This will solve a couple of situations there. allow for better access on the site. Right now, we're waiting for shop drawings from the contractor for that. Is there anything else on that, Brian?
So when should that project be done?
Well, the contractor just called before the meeting. I guess the gate manufacturer, he reported that the plant shut down. We're not sure why it shut down. We're making calls to the plant. I think engineering was calling while we're down here to see why they're shut down. So we may have to switch suppliers of the gate. So that's causing some confusion right now. So it's kind of tough to answer that question. I'll know better tomorrow. I'll let you know by email.
Anything can go wrong, it will.
I noticed that with that. I was hoping we could wrap it up.
The Buck Street sewer main, there's been no new progress on that. We've been sidetracked with other issues at the water and sewer utilities. We're still waiting for Serco to respond with the pricing on the slip lining. I'll have to reach out to them again and see where the price is at. Wastewater treatment plant phase 2. We have now officially received authorization to award from NJDEP, a letter dated November 3rd. Authorize us to award to Worth and Company for the amount of $7,239,100. I've made a recommendation also to the commission, and we're asking that you award that contract tonight to Worth and Company. Municipal building roof repair. We're going through the contractor's warranty. We have a call in to Alper Roofing. We went through the manufacturer's warranty. That warranty is acceptable by the specification. There was an issue with the installer warranty with the wind speed limit of 55 mile an hour. We're waiting for Craig Alper to get back to us. That could be something standard because the manufacturer's warranty maybe supersedes that. We're trying to find out exactly why they have that limit. On the resaturation roof on the third floor, that's for 2,900 square feet. That's a 10-year warranty. The sixth floor roof, 4,100 square foot, that's edge to edge, no dollar limit. That's a 20-year warranty. And there will be inspections that we have to keep up with to make sure the warranty stays in place. And I'll forward the warranty to you, Commissioner, so you can see it.
Yeah, forward them to Mr.
tomorrow.
McDowell too, because way back when we missed the warranty for the library roof, and that cost us a substantial amount of money in inspection.
Yeah, I'll forward it tomorrow. There's also a care maintenance information guide they sent also.
Thank you.
Another thing that tied into the municipal roof building was the curtain wall. We're, I guess, having a hard time locating one of the sealers that I had specified for the masonry wall on the south end. So we're evaluating that new material that's been, I guess, presented, for use. The caulking and all the sealants, there's no issues with getting those. It's just the spray-on water-based sealer. Knoll property damage. The Public Works crews have been out there completing the road restoration. When I went out last week, they had installed the base on the entire road in the trench. I'm not sure if they made it back to finish yet, but I'll have someone check it tomorrow.
I think they were supposed to do it today, I think.
Or maybe it's finished then. And we'll just move on to the next
They weren't
drainage
there
issue.
today. I guess they weren't there today, so
Okay.
we'll figure it out.
High Street paving, engineering's working on the specific handicap ramp designs for every intersection of all the handicap ramps. We have to take the existing conditions into account, where we're going to put the detectable warning plates, how it ties in to the existing grades. So we're doing individual drawings for each ramp right now. Ware Avenue demolition project. Delphi has submitted all the required asbestos documentation. We now have a full file on that. I'm working on writing up a final change order that accounts for the $3,900 for the asbestos, and then we're deducting off that replacement cost for one of the hydrants that they damaged on Ware Avenue. So we'll be completing that change order.
Didn't they do the stone for you for that, though, I thought you worked out a deal. I'm sorry, didn't you work out a deal with them?
Yeah, we worked out a deal, and that was all part of this. There's still a little
bit
deduct
more?
to make sure that it's fair for the city. They crushed concrete at 15th Street for 2 days. I think it's around $3,500 a day they charge for that. The replacement of the hydrant was difficult because of high groundwater conditions, so we had to set well points and sumps, and it was just a tough job. And the water's, I'm sure you're all aware, there's an artesian well behind the water department there. The water's running out of the ground, so anytime you dig a hole, it's right there, right at the ground level. So that's why there's just a little more of a deduct to make sure it's fair for the city. Four Seasons, Brian, you have an update on, was that corner property with the drainage?
Yeah, there was one property at 11 Torresdale with the grading issues last week. The developer met with the landscaper. Since when they raise the grades, they're going to have to redo the planting bed. So, and they're trying to schedule something for this week to redo the grades and then redo the landscaping on top of that. So that's where that one stands.
South Millville water main replacement, that project's done. The water main on Columbine Avenue has been all installed and tested. All the services are operational. We did have some change conditions in the beginning because of a 8-inch abandoned gas main that was found on the first day. We had a little change at the end on how we tie in. There were some change orders, additional costs, but the net result is the project's coming in right on budget for the $190,000 or a little bit under. We'll still do a formal change order just to document that, but everything went well on that job. There's a couple outstanding issues with the existing road conditions. We'll have to figure out how to get some of the old water main patches repaired. There's 6 areas, roughly 20 by 10 feet long, that need to be repaved. Some of them only have cold patch on them right now, so I'll be working with Commissioner Sui and Commissioner Ennis on how to get those patches taken care of. Wastewater treatment plant operations. The last set of tests from the plant were, in compliance. There was a little, I guess, a blip in plant performance. We had a fecal coliform number that was kind of high. It was around 4,500. It's not the highest we've seen, but we don't like to see them that high. The crews disassembled the whole UV system, cleaned it. I was in contact with the rep from Cappy Associates for Trojan. We placed the UV system on 100% power with both banks running right now, so it's not flow-paced anymore or fluctuating according to the loads coming into the plant. That'll allow us to treat the water the best way possible that we can with the equipment we have right now. There's actually no downside to running it at 100% power other than a little increase in power consumption. At this point, we need to do the best we can and ensure we're meeting compliance. I think the power consumption could be offset with problems from, ramping the bulbs up and down in power, shutting them on and off. That's what causes, the wear out and just problems with controls. There's some safety issues we're addressing throughout the plant and throughout the pump stations with confined spaces. We're reevaluating all the confined space entrances, all the pump stations. We're going to make sure that we're adhering to the latest NFPA 820 regulations that came out in January of this year. There's some substantial changes that require not only exhaust but also power air supply. There's also monitoring requirements for flow in the system too, not just when the pump comes on and off, we just can't have a run signal. We have to actually test for airflow, and it has to also be sent through a monitoring system for local and a remote alarm. So we're working through those kind of things. We're also trying to make sure that our crews, not only at the sewer but throughout the city, are trained on working around high voltage. We have a lot of trucks and equipment with like a jib crane or the vac truck that has a boom to make sure they don't know about the High Voltage Proximity Act, how far to stay away from high power lines, and if they can't identify the danger, to stay at least 20 feet away, which is the general industry standard. Most lines require 10 feet of separation. I think it's 0.4 feet for every 1 kVA over 50 that you have to do a calculation. So we're working with the the departments right now to make sure our guys are safe. The water operations, as I stated in the beginning of the report, we have 4 hydrants out of service. They've been repairing hydrants. They've also been inspecting all the above-ground storage tanks. Tomorrow they're going in Orange Street tank. I've only been able to get in 1 tank myself because I'm just so absorbed with work. I would like to get in them all. Maybe I can get in Orange Street tomorrow. That'll be the last one. But everything's working well at the water department. No complaints that we're aware of. Sherwood Forest Detention Basin. Brian met with the developers last week. He's getting ready to send them out an email instructing them to complete the required modifications to the stormwater basin. I think they had presented concerns they couldn't get it all done, in a timely manner because of the onset of winter. I think we should just direct them to do it as best they can, weather dependent. Did you have anything on that, Brian?
That was Thomas Howell Drive. It's been like 10 years.
Yeah, I agree with Wayne. I mean, yeah, we want to get them to work on that. It's been a while that it's been a problem out there. So I know they have issues with probably with their insurance company and payment and stuff. But yeah, we just need to direct them to do that.
So what are your options to get them to do it? Or what are our options to get them to do it?
We do. I mean, we're holding a bond. We do still have bonding for all their improvements.
So if they don't want to do it, can we hire somebody to do it and charge it to get a charge to the bond? Is that possible? Legal?
You can do it, it's not easy.
Well, we should get that process started then.
Well, the other thing too.
Enough nonsense is enough nonsense.
How long have they had to do it, though? Seriously? Shouldn't it have been done already as part of the development? It should have been done correctly years ago when they built the street.
Well, when they, I guess there were some issues with some of the borings with their engineer and the way it was designed. So they're working out. I guess there's a lawsuit between them. So there was a redesign that was proposed.
When?
This was.
So long ago you can't remember.
It's been a while. Yeah, there's actually been multiple proposals. One was, if you compare it to cars, one was the Cadillac and one's, I don't know, just a sedan. But everybody finally came to an agreement on what the design was going to be.
Well, because that is contributing to the flooding, I'm assuming, in that area of town, correct?
What happens is from Pareca Drive, it's collecting some of that stormwater, and so it'll go into that basin. So the basin is containing some of it, and then eventually, when the basin fills up, then it overflows out one of the inlets on Pareca Drive.
But it doesn't also contribute to Rhonda Drive because that road runs straight down.
It eventually all ends up there, whether it's.
So has this process been more than 3 years?
Yeah.
Has it been?
Yes. So I don't know what you guys think, but I think we ought to just. I know you said the process is difficult, but we might as well get it started.
Is it going to cost us money?
Should come out of the bond, correct?
Brock, I think he's looking.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
I mean, I agree with Commissioner Sui. We've waited so long, but
I mean, it's costing us more money for all the stuff we're doing on Rhonda Drive and everything downstream.
I mean,
you might want to let them know that we're considering that. Maybe they'll speed up.
maybe, yeah. Send them a little letter.
yeah. I mean, first, we direct them to do it. So
Isn't it on a hill?
with the,
The pond, the retention basin?
I mean, it's in a low area behind the properties.
But it's in the
but
middle
that
of the high
side
point of the street, isn't it?
It actually runs. Part of it does. So it's a long basin. So some of it's in that hill area, some of it's downhill. Most of the storage is actually downhill.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Just water runs.
Why don't I reach out to the developer tomorrow and tell them we're giving consideration to contacting, their bonding company if they don't perform.
Tell
That's
them we
our
are
only- that's our
contacting-
only leverage.
Tell them we are contacting their bonding
Yeah.
company, and maybe they should hurry up.
Or I'll call them tomorrow, yeah.
Did they dedicate that street? Did the city take the street over?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Not yet. So they still have to do do we want them to do that? Are you plowing it anyhow?
Probably.
No, they're plowing it now. We've actually got to do a punch list before they do their final paving coat, so they just have base coat of paving now, so there's gonna be a punch list that they have to perform before they do the paving, so.
Do these things, can they go on forever? I'm just curious, like, is this a normal time frame?
I think with the economy, the way some of these developments fell, sometimes they'll sit for a while. I mean, there's some that are, this was the larger one, I think it's 56 lots. I mean, you have some of the smaller ones, actually right across the way, across from the airport, that was 14 lots, so that one's almost complete. So that's almost, they're both ready to pave, but obviously the one on, Hollygate, or Dumont Drive, that one is,
It just gets a little disconcerting sitting up here listening to what developers haven't done that they're supposed to do, and we don't do anything about it. So it's time to start doing something about it and getting these problems fixed instead of talking about it.
yeah, I mean, and there may be something through the planning board to set time limits and, maybe bond it in phases, that type of thing, so you're not, left with, a whole project. You can finish it phase by phase.
So should we talk about that at a planning board meeting then?
Yeah, and that's happened in the past. They've phased certain, well, that's kind of what Four Seasons did. The Four Seasons, when Schaefer was just in here, they phased it, so they knew.
Well, they finished what they were supposed to do
They
with the
knew
first
what they
phase,
could
though, right?
handle, so they did, two
Right, they
lots.
didn't-
Mess around.
They didn't take a big
A
bite.
big chunk,
Yeah.
they didn't take the full 88 lots, so they did the micro phases, so that's probably something.
Well, I
we
think
could
the start is
look
Wayne
into.
tomorrow, calling
Yeah.
them and letting them know
Right.
how we feel.
I'll definitely call them tomorrow morning, and I'll send all the commission a summary.
Okay.
The Marlin Terrace stormwater system, I met with the last property owner on Thursday, Mr. Hitchner. I left him with a set of drawings showing the proposed route of the storm line out to the NJDOT manhole. They're in favor of the project. They're not trying to hold the project up. They're a little worried that they had planned to put in a flag lot, whether it complies or not, I don't know, for their son. So they just want to make sure that if we put the pipe in, it's not going to mess them up in the future from doing that. So I left them the plan. I said, well, let me know exactly what you were thinking.
Good.
And if we can move the pipe one way or the other to not, hurt them, because they're trying to work with us and try and help us.
Great.
So I'll reach out to him also this week and see if they had enough time to look at it. Mr. Hitchner's wife did ask if we could replant some of the trees that we take out of their property when we do the work. The Field of Dreams, there's a few outstanding issues, I think, out there. Stabilization of the swale. There's the sound reading. We're down to like 1 week left to do it. I guess it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, you didn't, I thought you were gone this past
I
weekend.
couldn't do it this weekend,
It
so
was
I guess
very noisy this past weekend. You missed a window of
I-
opportunity there.
I'll have to get out there, the last weekend of the year. I'll have to drag Brian with me or somebody, because it takes two people to get the readings simultaneously on each side of the wall.
How is Wayne doing it alone then, I'd like to know?
Well, he told me you need two people to do the test.
Okay.
That's
So
what
he had a
told me.
phantom.
Very interesting to me, because he told me 2 days ago he wanted to go out there alone on Saturday.
I'm just telling you
I'm
what he
sorry.
told me, Commissioner. So I'm waiting for him to give me the meter and give me a little quick orientation. And it shouldn't take more than a half hour when we're out there. Anything else on that, Brian? Am I mistaken, or didn't he say we need two people?
It's only
Yeah,
been,
you did too, yeah.
it's only been, when did we pass that at the planning board? 2 years ago, or a year, wasn't it been? How long's that been?
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
2
2
years
years,
ago.
yeah.
2 years, okay.
So we basically haven't had a valid sound reading in 2 years.
Correct.
It's interesting.
Which means we're in
When you say
trouble.
balance?
Valid. Well, which means we're in trouble because we're not complying with the lawsuit that a settlement was against the city. So it's not just us making sure that the department's doing what they're supposed to do. We have to do it to be in compliance.
So I guess
We'll be
this
out there
weekend you
before
guys
the
will be
end
out
of the
there.
season. What's that?
I guess this weekend you guys will be out there.
It's next weekend, right? Not this weekend?
Get somebody out there this weekend.
If they
Before
have,
we get-
no, but see, they might not have anything.
If they don't have a race, they're probably done for the
They
year.
had a very big race this weekend. Serious, it wasn't horrible, but it was noisy because I could hear them. So, and I usually don't hear them at all. So it would have been a really. So you need. It's hard.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah.
We're almost through. I'm sorry it's so long.
No, you're not.
I'm not sorry because you're getting a lot of work done, so.
New Jersey Motorsports, Brian, he went through the old drawings to find out about the weir plate, right? Brian, the weir plate was part of the original design.
The gate was?
The gate. Yeah, it was part of the original design. There were some problems with flooding on the track from the runoff. So there was a redesign done that put the slot in the gate that limited the discharge to 8.3 cubic feet per second. That's where we're at right now.
So when you open the gate, it goes across the street and floods fields of dreams.
Well, they shouldn't be opening the gate. There was a gate originally that flowed over the top like a weir. Now they cut a slot in the gate so water can start flowing out sooner.
How long ago did they do that?
That was approved?
Yeah,
That
Dave
slot was
Battistini
approved?
worked with them on the engineering and review of that. I imagine that's been done for 2 or 3 months. The summer, probably.
This year.
Does that
Yeah.
coincide with the flooding?
I don't know if that coincides with the flooding or not. We'll have to check and see.
But that's part of the design, and the
I
gate
don't
was
remember
part of the
anything
original
flooding 2 or 3
design.
months, so maybe it's okay.
The Manor Estate stormwater basins, we're waiting for the equipment to get in there to finish cleaning that one wet basin out.
Yeah, any update on that equipment, Regina? I know you're not paying attention. Oh, my toy, as you call it. Filling out the form now? Okay. All right. She accuses me of running a toy, Wayne. I don't want you to know.
I agree.
3rd Street Road reconstruction, we started that project. We're having some issues with traffic control. We're having a contractor come in tomorrow to have a meeting to resolve, whatever differences we have. They're not following the MUTCD plan for lane shifts. They closed the road down 3 days in a row, which was specifically not allowed by traffic safety. We had to stop the job on 2 days, and on 1 day it was stopped for a rain. So we're going to resolve this tomorrow with the contractor at 9 o'clock. The Vine Street improvements, we're asking that the commission authorize to award that project tonight. Re-advertise, yeah. You have anything else, Brian, about the riverfront or anything?
Was anything done?
I think we're done unless you have any
The
questions.
safety concerns weren't taken care of at that riverfront condo? Did they cover the openings?
I had a report from Wayne Carignato that they did cover the inlet openings. They did something to the reinforcing steel in the building to cover it. They didn't close off the openings of the building, though. Came up with a different solution. I haven't been able to get out there to see it.
Different solution.
Yeah, what would that be?
Yeah.
I'll find out tomorrow and I'll let you know. But they did fix the grates. We're missing on that deep inlet. There was that one inlet that's 12 feet deep. It was full of debris.
So that's safe now.
They cleaned it out and they put the inlet back on. And they did something to the vertical reinforcing steel that was in the building. I would have preferred to have them close off the building with sheathing like they do an abandoned house.
Right.
So people can't get in and out. To the best of my knowledge, that hasn't been done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Wayne.
And you guys don't have to stay for the rest of this. If you got something else you'd rather do, like go on for something.
Thank you.
Brian. Okay, I guess we're at the Department of Revenue and Finance.
think we
Good.
did that already.
Department of Parks and Public Property.
Well, we did the engineering report.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, I guess we can go progress. I'll read the other stuff at the
I
end.
had some questions
Unless you
about
got
the
a question.
agenda, just the regular agenda.
Your regular agenda? Yeah, go ahead, fire away. Maybe I'll even know the answer.
Which one?
I'm sorry. On the resolution 25, when I looked at it, I don't think it included the meeting we did not do. I don't think it had those numbers on it. They were different. I think this was just this month's, this 2 weeks report. Do you know what I mean? The resolution authorizing adjustments to tax and utility records. There were a couple things on the old one that had caught my eye. They were not on this one, so that means we never voted on the last one and it disappeared.
Okay.
It's 25.
Just the routine tax and utility one, you're saying the ones on the last one are on this one?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'll check that in the between and try and get that corrected.
And then I just had a question, Mayor, what you're doing in your department about personnel, we don't have to get permission to do that? It was,
For what? What are we doing?
it was 2017,
What-
about changing the rules and regulation previously adopted, about violations of conduct. We can just change that without permission from the union?
Yes.
Okay,
I
I
didn't
didn't
realize.
realize.
We looked that up.
Okay, just checking. And do we
Anything
change
else?
this one?
You want to talk about the other stuff when you, I have a question concerning tonight's agenda. Of course, we're going to swear Mr. Davis in, but the results aren't going to be certified till Wednesday now.
Not Wednesday.
Not Wednesday, when?
We don't know.
What I was told by the county clerk's office was that the results are being processed and the Board of Elections may convene on Wednesday, November 16th, to certify the results to the county clerk. Then the county clerk has 3 days after that to certify the results to the municipality.
So my
we will
que-
have them at least by next Monday and maybe sooner.
My question would be, and I don't recall how we did it, but I think we got sworn in before we had a meeting, so we didn't have to have a meeting to swear in Mr. Davis. We can swear him in at any time after the results are certified.
He has to be appointed by resolution.
Has to be appointed to what? He was elected, so we have to appoint him?
I believe so.
Well, his departments have to be
His
assigned by
appoint- But I'm
resolution.
talking about as far as swearing him
Whether he
in.
can be sworn in, let me
Okay.
check the act very quickly, because I looked at it already today.
So you're saying swear him in so he can
Swear
be,
him in and have
so
a
he
special
can know
meeting
what
and
to
get
do?
this done, yes.
Okay.
As a commissioner, in accordance with the
Once he's a
statute
commissioner,
requires to serve
then we can
an
do that.
expired term of
Yeah. Let me just check, since there's an election and not an appointment, it's maybe a little bit.
I asked Bill why he was dressed like that. I
That's
thought he
fine.
could have dressed a little bit better.
He was gonna run home maybe.
That's what he told me. That's what he told me. Right? I asked you why you were dressed like that.
While we're doing that, I had another, I was getting phone calls, there's been issues with the elevators at the Millville Housing Authority. So Susan, I didn't know, is Paul Dice gonna come talk to us? Because they've been inspected, some are coming up for their next, they get inspected every 6 months. But apparently they're breaking and causing some issues, and I know you had requested that Mr. Dice come and speak with us.
Yes, he hasn't committed to a certain date. I think he's gonna prepare a report and then come present it. But he may not do that until the end of the calendar year and make it a whole year's worth in January.
Yeah, because
But I mean,
the
I can
complaints
certainly
about
send
the
him an email.
the complaints about the elevator were pretty serious.
What building, do you know?
J.C. Plaza.
Okay.
First I heard of it.
I mean,
Nobody
I
that you
can
know,
certainly
Dave?
shoot him an email real quick.
You-
in the
they
morning.
didn't tell you?
I never heard anything about it.
It's the second, I don't
It
know where
was
the
a-
other elevator
A
was,
resident
but,
complaint?
yeah, yes. But I've been getting complaints that the elevators don't work right, or, it's the
Okay.
second time, that's kind of serious. This interfered with, the rescue squad being able to get up and down on the floor.
Absolutely.
Well, I will certainly shoot an email in the morning, no problem. And he's usually very responsive, so.
Okay.
Look like you have an answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I have an answer, Commissioner Sui. The statute is 4816-21, time for taking office, which provides that all persons elected to serve for the unexpired term of office shall take office immediately upon certification of the results of the election pursuant to the election statute. So immediately means immediately, so I think he could be sworn in immediately. Now, the assignment of the departments would have to await a commission meeting, and that has to be done by resolution.
So when are you anticipating?
And how does that work for him voting? Can he vote on it?
Yes, he can vote if he's a commissioner. We voted when we got sworn in.
True, I just want to make sure they're
After he's,
attorneys, so we,
Mayor, only after he's certified and sworn in, then he can vote. He can't do it before that.
okay.
And the board has to certify the results.
I'm ready for him to be sworn in.
Right, so what
I
I'm
have
going
no
to
problem
suggest
with
is if you know when, then we should schedule a special meeting so that we can take care of the business that we need to take care of.
Well, she said she thought it would be no later than Monday, but maybe sooner.
So,
I heard
so you
Monday,
don't
too.
know, but you can swear him in, and then as soon as you get the word, and then the meeting would have to be 2 days later, because you have to notice it.
48 hours.
Right.
48 hours.
So
Unless
if,
you
it'll be
just
no
want
later
notice
than
on
Monday,
that.
so if you make it Monday, what's the early, well, he could be done Thursday, but still that would be Monday.
It doesn't have to be Monday. No,
I'm
no,
not
she's
available
not saying,
Thursday.
she's not saying
Thursday's
that.
No, you're not getting, I'm saying if he,
Say it again, Brock?
I said that a week from Thursday, I think, is Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
isn't it?
next
Yes,
week.
it is.
no, what I'm
24.
getting at is the latest is Monday, correct?
That's what they said, yes.
A week
So-
from today.
If she gets the results by Wednesday, if the Board of Elections convenes and certifies the result to her that day, she has 3 days from that date. So, but she said they may convene and they may certify the results to her on Wednesday.
May.
I understand, May, but if we keep waiting, we're not gonna be able to get,
You can't do anything till she certifies.
no, but we could advertise for a special session after that, at a time after that, so we don't have to wait 2 days after they certify.
So-
I mean, I don't care, we can wait if you guys wanna
Monday.
wait.
No, no, so why
'Cause
can't
then
do
we're
it
not-
Monday? I can't.
Next week.
Right. No, I'm not saying you can do it Monday.
No, but I mean, you could do it Tuesday after Thanksgiving,
Well,
Yeah,
that's-
we already have a meeting the Tuesday after
so
Thanksgiving.
it doesn't matter. Right, well, next week is.
There's
No.
5 Tuesdays.
Next week is Thanksgiving.
Right.
We don't have a meeting till December.
The 29th
So
would
that
be
would be
that
a
last Tuesday.
29.
Yeah, we don't have a meeting till December.
Yeah. Maybe you want to have you could have a special meeting that
the 29th.
Tuesday, the Tuesday after
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
And it would be just for that purpose.
Yeah.
I'm off on Monday.
You're off on Monday?
Yeah, so we could do the 28th if you think it'll work. It's the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Bill didn't think it was
28?
going to be this hard. Huh?
If the mayor's check.
Let me see. Looks good for me.
At what time?
That
6:30 or?
Dave, does that work for you?
Say it again.
I'm gonna have to let you know. Like, I have to wait till tomorrow.
I don't care what time
Well,
it is.
do you wanna-
can have
if
it at 6
people
o'clock
wanna
in the
come
morning if you
back-
want.
What time would you have people here? Afternoon or late?
You,
That'd probably be for possibly,
4?
my wife would get here.
So 5?
5 o'clock on the 28th?
5 o'clock on the 28th.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
And what, it's gonna be, what, the swearing in, and then we would do the departments and whatever other,
Whatever you direct me to put on the agenda.
it would have, you might as well take care of everything that would go with him becoming a commissioner, right? What we
You have
were
to
gonna
take
do
this position.
tonight.
The first thing you would do is certify the results,
Right.
and then appoint and issue the oath of office, and then designate what department,
So you might as well take
And-
all that stuff off for tonight.
and the powers and duties. I don't know whether you're gonna
So-
talk about that tonight or not.
Probably should.
Yeah, we
So
could
it would
talk
be,
about it.
so it would be
Oh.
everything under 2 would happen.
Yes, unless you're gonna do, well, yes, because the powers and duties, you'd have to wait, I guess.
Right, you can't do any, right?
What's that?
You would
Well, you
do
really don't
everything
have to
under,
do it. You
you
can
would
do
do
it
everything
anytime.
under 2
We go right to city clerk, we do, wouldn't we?
tonight, but I mean, for the
Yeah.
meeting on Monday, you
You
wanna
would do
do
those.
everything under 2.
Anything else?
Do we need to talk about the powers and duties?
you have a current resolution that was adopted June 21st, 2016, so if you wanted to make any changes to that, we would
And
just need
what did
direction.
that say? Do you have that?
Yeah. It's the, actually,
I'm looking for it.
I don't think it's attached.
No. Well, why don't we wait for that meeting and just do it all then?
Well, do you want to discuss it so that the resolution's ready, or you want to just do it then?
Discuss it then. We'll
Okay.
do it
Just
then.
discuss it then, I think.
Okay.
Anything else? Lynn, nothing? Dave?
I'm good, sir.
Brock? Susan?
Nothing.
All right, so let's move on. Did we ever get the city clerk review changes to the agenda?
Yes, there were none.
All right.
Thank you.
Minutes for October.
The next item is item 12, which is just
What?
to open public comment
Jesus.
on non-agenda items only. Maybe you're looking at the wrong agenda.
I may be.
I am
We're
looking
still in
at
the work
agenda.
session.
Yeah,
So
because
down
it's
under-
6:30.
I
No,
hope
that's
not.
an hour
I
fast.
hope
Is it
not.
really?
Yeah, nobody changed it.
Yeah,
It's only
my department
5:30.
failed to
Oh, is
fix
that
the
why you're
clock.
panicking?
Yeah. Oh, it's 6:30 already.
I wonder what was wrong with you. Oh, you're going, let's go, let's
What the
go.
heck?
I think that was wishful thinking.
Holy smokes.
No.
I'm trying to go through this, so.
No,
Oh,
you're
my God.
fine. You got a whole hour. Oh, you gained an hour in your life.
Who's in charge of that clock?
That was-
Susan.
Yeah, Susan, that's Susan's job.
She's the
I
only one tall
apologize.
enough. You're
Oh,
tall
my
enough to do
gosh.
it.
All right.
Sorry about that,
I
Mayor.
think we finished parks and public property, right? And
I
then
think we have,
Commissioner,
yeah.
Commissioner Perkinsui had a comment or had a question, right? So now Department of Public Safety, I have nothing. New business then? Any new business?
That's what you said you didn't want to
Nothing.
discuss.
Oh, okay, so we're now past that. Public comment portion of the meeting. Anyone that would like to address the commission, please step up to the podium, state your name and your concerns. With Wow, I'm looking at that clock. Nobody told me.
I actually thought the same thing. I
Sorry.
looked at my
Holy
phone.
smokes.
Paul Parecka, Millville. Several months ago, Mayor, I made a suggestion that in light of the benefit and information from the engineer's report was so illuminating that we ought to have a report from the solicitor about all the legal issues that the city has, pending litigation, et cetera. At that time, if my recollection is correct, all the commissioners sitting there thought that was a good idea. However, months have gone by, and Mr. Russell has not been brought to toe the line and issue a report. So I'd like to know what happened to that suggestion, which apparently was favorably received at the time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, obviously, we all forgot. But we'll get back on track with that, Mr. Parecka. Brock, you got that?
Is that going to be added as a agenda item?
It has to be, right? As a report, correct?
Oh, you mean on every agenda?
Yeah. As a report?
Yeah.
Report from
Solicitor.
solicitor. Now, do you go first or last? I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. Thank you. Anyone else? I close the public portion part of this meeting. Comments of commissioners. Commissioner Sui.
Progress.
Commissioner Ennis. Good. Commissioner Perry.
Progress.
And progress on mine. Now we,
Move to
and the
go into closed
resolution
session.
to go into, yep. Can I have a second?
So moved.
Any comments? All right, we'll be back. Thank you.
Can I just do a roll call real quick
Yes.
on the resolution for closed session? Commissioner Ennis?
Yes.
Commissioner Perka Compari?
Yes.
Commissioner Sui?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did I get 8 messages sitting here, for God's sake?